Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I'm talking about a very, very personal conversation for me, right? And it is basically breaking out of depression, how depression was like for me, how the healing process was like for me, what pushed me to heal, and how life has been after that, right? I'll say how vulnerable I can get with you and just basically share the lessons that I can. Yeah. So if you don't know, I used to live in chronic depression, if I say so myself, right? So I know you are wondering like why are you depressed, and I'm going to get into that in the middle of this conversation. But before then, I know that this had been something that I had been struggling with since when I was in GSS1. I mean, when I think about it, I remember that, and that's when I remember that I've had the whole thing going on in my head from JSS1. I don't know if it had been before then, I do not know, but I know that from JSS1 till I finished secondary school, till 2020, I was in chronic depression. So like I was depressed for about 10 years of my life. A large chunk of my life was stolen by depression, right? And this is a very, very personal topic for me because it signified a lot of things in my life, which I'm going to get into and you're going to understand it in the course of the conversation. So here's the thing, yeah. I I was very depressed. And why was I depressed? I was depressed because I used to be very skinny. I used to be a very, very skinny child. So because of that, I was body shamed. I felt like I was not getting enough attention from people, or I was not thinking about it in retrospect. Now I feel like I do a lot of assumptions in my head really because when I got into the university, I saw that there were people who looked like me who still had a life, right? So I I believe that I caged myself because of the mental, like I kind of like had a mental cage in my head where I felt like, oh, nobody liked me, nobody was going to like me, nobody wanted to be my friend, nobody admired me, nobody, and all of those things that were just in my head. And because of that, it affected the way I interacted with people. Yeah, did I face, did I get harsh reaction from people? Yes, I did. Was it because of how I looked? Even though I believe in retrospect that it was because of how I looked, like people did not just like me. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but really that was it for me this period. I felt like I was too skinny, I was unattractive, no clothes was looking good on me. I was usually body shamed by people, by teenagers, like young children on the streets. I felt like I missed out on the adventures of teenagehood because I spent most of my time wallowing in low self-esteem, depression, and all of that. So that was the beginning phase for me. That was how it started. And see, when I talk about this, think about these things, like I cannot really go into the full scope of it because I have long healed from it. Like I have healed from it so much that I cannot remember how bad it was for me just period of to what extent I was far gone. So I'm just going to pick up the pieces from here and there and just address as many that comes to mind when I think about this process for me. So yes, I was depressed for that reason and it was so bad because I felt like I had no reason to live. Nobody wanted to be my friend. I didn't have friend. I didn't want to step out of the house. I'm like, okay, what's the point of buying clothes when the clothes are not going to look good on me? What's the point of going into a new place when nobody is going to want to be my friend? What's the point of going to the university? What's the point of going out of my house? So it was so bad for me that I lost my essence to life. That's what I'm saying, that when I think about it now, in retrospect, I felt like maybe I over-exaggerated because one thing that I've come to realize, and okay, that was one of the things that I learned in my healing process that the Lord showed me or taught me was that say, um, I genuinely believe that the way you look is a big advantage in this world. There's something called pretty privilege, like I know it, and then there's something called ugly disadvantage. I know it, yeah, but it still doesn't change the fact that you can still be whatever you want to be. Maybe you might have to like work extra hard. But one thing that I got to learn is that when you are valuable, people would come to you. Many of those things that you are trying to chase, you are trying to attract, and all of those things, they will flow naturally to you. Nobody is going to like want to employ me, or maybe because I'm a marketer, I'm a copywriter, and then I can get results for you, and then you now want to employ me, like, oh, this girl is skinny. In the real world, right? There are some positions that you have to look a kind of way, but more so than not, when you are very, very valuable, people do not have a problem. They don't have options. You just have to like stick with you. But yeah, that's my way. So I was very depressed. I was broken. I was down. I felt like everybody hated me. Nobody wanted to be my friend. I didn't have any reason to live. And I think about the future, it feels so blurry. Like there was nothing that was giving me hope. There was no essence to life. And the pain was getting very, very intense. So I remember that in the year 2019, It was, oh my lord, I cried a lot. In fact, before the year 2019, like all through this period of depression and all of that, I was crying a lot. I was crying a lot. And the funny thing is that nobody knew. Yeah, nobody knew. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell my brother. I didn't tell my parents. The only thing that my parents or my family member knew were there were days that I would wake up in the morning and I just could not hide it. I feel like that was the hardest thing for me, trying to pretend like you're fine. It is so witty because I'm going through a lot inside of me. Like I want to explode, but I just have to carry on with people. I just have to laugh. I just have to play. I just have to act as though there's nothing wrong. And there are days that I wake up and I'm like, I do not have the strength in me to pretend. Like I just want to be in my feelings and just cry. My dad is just like, why are you sad? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing. Like, what do you mean nothing? I'm like, nothing. And my dad used to be poor man, used to be innocent, like used to be so confused, like, okay, what is wrong with her? She'll just be sad. You'll be like, why are you sad? Are you a child of God? I don't like sad spirit around me. Sometimes he would even get so irritated because he keeps asking me, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing's wrong with me, but I'm sad, I'm gloomy, I'm angry, I'm irritable, and all of those things. So that was one of the things that I knew that my families could see. And maybe because depression is not a thing for our parents, of course, they may not absolutely get it. But if it happened to me, to my child, I'll be able to connect the dots that, oh, okay, so this, maybe this child is depressed. So for them, it was not even a thing. So they didn't know what was going on. They just knew that there are some times that I would wake up and I would be sad throughout the whole day. There are times I would wake up and I would be sad, and maybe later in the day, I'll just, you know what, let me just catch up. And that was I was just living, patching, living, patching, living, patching. Somebody is saying, well, you know, you're Christian. Well, I was saved. I was tongue talking, like I was speaking in tongues. I was a worker in God's church. But even my prayer life, like oh Lord, I never felt anything that was called joy, anything that was called peace. Like the only time that I felt a glimpse of these things and when I'm in the presence of God and when I'm in church, especially so there's this church, Heartland Church that I used to attend. Peter was our pastor then, right? So every time that I'm in the church, like I would feel like God's presence is so tangible, and I would feel a glimpse of what joy is. And I'm like, God, why can I not carry this atmosphere into my prayer room, into my secret place? Like, I was praying, I would pray, and when I finished praying, like there's nothing. I'm still broken. I'm still down. I'm still depressed. I'm still crying. It was that bad for me. It was that bad for me, and it stole my life. It stole my life because, or let me say, I let it steal my life. But anyway, I was very handicapped in those moments because if you know me very well, there's a desire in me to live, to do something with my life, to do something worthwhile with my existence. There had always been that desire in me, but in those periods I was incapacitated because as much as I felt like, oh, I should be this, I should be that, I didn't even know where to start from, and there was no strength in me to even carry on or to just do something for myself. I was just there. I was very helpless and very hopeless. Now, what pushed me to the point where I knew that I had to do something about this? In the year 2019, the pain was getting very, very physical. I remember that year I was crying a lot. I think I was crying every single day. I would cry. There was one time I woke up in the midnight to pray. And in the middle of the prayer, I just started crying, oh God, why did you create me like this? Why am I like this? Why does someone love me? Why am I ugly? Why am I this? Why am I that? And I wailed. I cried so much that when I woke up in the morning, my eyes were swollen. So everybody was asking me. My mom was asking me, what happened to you? I think, what did I tell her? I can't remember what I told. I think I told them that it's a boil, or I was bitten by. I should have told them a believable lie to spirit because I could not tell them that the daughter of Zion was wailing in the middle of the night. So let me tell you, it was that bad. There was a point that I could not even eat. I remember there was one time I went about 3 days barely eating. I was not fasting. I was depressed. I could not eat. I could not. I cried that period. That day, I cried like back to back 3 days. Like I would come. The only time that I would feel my face is when I have to come out and face people. I'll come inside the room. Oh Jesus, thank you Jesus. I would come inside my room. I would lock up myself inside the wardrobe. I'll lock up myself inside the wardrobe. I would cry. I would wail. I would cry. God, why? And everything was seeming very, very hopeless for me because I'm like, people will never help you matters. You would hear things like, oh, it's until you married before you would even had weight. It's until you did it before you had weight, blah, blah, blah. And that was like the greatest issue of my life. So recently I'll tell myself that, do you remember when adding weight was everything that mattered to you? I was telling myself that. And now I have added the weight. Like I have added the weight that I have been desperately, I was thinking that would be the end of my problem in life. But all of these things just showed me that in the end, it's only Jesus, only the pursuit of Jesus that gives somebody's life essence. Nothing, like everything that I desired about 5 years ago, I have touched them. I've entered places that I felt like, oh, I could never enter this place. I cannot this thing. I've spoken with people. I've interacted with people. I've gotten the attention that I want. I've gotten the admiration of people that I want. I've gotten influence in my own little way. And every time that these things happen, there's still a yearning in my soul for more, for more, for more. And I just really realized that in the end, only Jesus does satisfy. That thing that I thought that was going to be the highlight of my life, of my existence many years ago, I have lived it, and it's really not worth the hype. But I think I'm going ahead of myself. So yeah, I remember that in those periods. So there was this brother in a church where, so there's this I don't want to go into the backstory of how far I know him or how I met him. Like, there's just this brother. There was that time that I was at my breaking point. Like, I'm like, God, see, I would have killed myself this period, if not because of hellfire. Because I'm like, if I kill myself now, I'm definitely going to hell. I remember I would usually tell myself that whatever it is I'm facing right now, like the pain, the torture, and everything, I feel like I'm going through the heartache. I'm going to go through what worse in hell, and I'll be stuck there forever and ever and ever. So like that was the only thing that kept me from making that decision and from, you know. But yeah, that period I was at my breaking point. The future seemed very, very blurry. It seemed, I felt like I've not painted the picture of how that moment was for me, that moment of depression. I felt like I've not painted the picture well enough for it. It was bad. It was very, very bad. But let me just move on. So I was in that phase of, I was in that breaking point. Like, I was very tired. And then I remember that one day this brother called me, and it was like, what is wrong with you? I think I was in the bathroom that day. I was brushing my teeth. I just got a call from him. Very random. He's like, Ini, what is wrong with you? I'm like, nothing. Why do you ask? Because really, I also do not like sharing. In fact, I don't think I ever told anybody what I was going through those moments. I didn't tell no one. The only person that I opened up to was one person online, and the person invalidated my pain, which is one of the things that I learned, like when I'm dealing with people, dealing with situations like this, is to never ever invalidate people's pain. Because the person said, send me your pictures. I sent the person my pictures. Like, hey, you are fine now. Like, the person is like, you're fine now. So this is you. So why do you think, like, it's not a big deal? I'm like, something I say it's not a big deal. It's ruining my life. Like, and I felt like it was because it was just pictures. I was really skinny this period, and it was bad. Like, I'm not even, like, genuinely was bad, because when I had weight and I had people telling me that, oh, this period I used to also catch you. I'm like, that's not the point of all of this, right? So yeah, I remember that he called me and he was like, what's wrong with you? I said, and I'm like, why did you ask? Because I wanted to be sure that I really cared, and it's not just one of those random. But like, what is wrong with you? So I'm like, I think I just started crying on the phone. I was like, oh my God, we have to talk. We have to talk. And I said, I'm going to come and see him, and then we are going to talk. So I remember that I saw him physically, and we spoke. And in fact, those period I did not entirely open up to him. I can't remember what I told him, but I told him that I was depressed. I told him I'm in a very bad place, that I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I want to give up. Like, the pain is so intense in my heart. I've stolen my life, my dream. I told him the effect of it, but I didn't tell him the root cause. And I don't think I went into full details about the whole thing. And that period to me, I mean, that call, that gesture to me was just a reminder of the fact that the Lord saw me, because I genuinely was tired of everything. I was very tired of hearing, of praying to God, because somehow I felt like the Lord hated me. And every time I think about it, like, I get so overwhelmed, because it feels like the worst thing that can happen to a person is when even God does not care about it. I'm like, humans don't love me. God does not love me. What is my hope? Am I going to live my life aimlessly? Is this how my life is going to be? Every time I think about it, I crash out. Like, the fact that God too does not care about me, does not listen to me. But that thing was just like a reminder of how that the Lord saw me. So I'm like, you know what? If there is a shot at this, if there is really a chance that, because I was already beginning to doubt everything about God. Does God exist? Does it this? Does it that? Because I'm like, if I'm going to doubt that the Lord loves me, then I might as well doubt everything, that the Lord did not create the heavens and the earth. Because it's not even I feel like the reality of God's love is as obvious as is the deity of God, right? So if I'm going to doubt the God's love, I might as well just doubt his existence, because it's not possible for one to, because I know what the scripture says. So I knew in those periods, I'm like, if I'm at this point, it's either entirely believe that God does not exist, but I was a child of God now, I was a believer. I'd seen things, I've heard things that I knew that no, the Lord is. So I'm like, if the Lord does exist, then there is a chance, a very, very great chance that the Lord loves me. Now fast forward to 2020, because all of these things, I think it was happening late 2019 or early 2020. I don't know exactly. I think it's early 2020, but fast forward to COVID period. COVID period was a kairos moment for me. It was a turnaround for me, because it gave me the chance to heal without rushing. The lockdown period happened. There was no There was no event, there was no church activity. See, in all of this moments, there was a part of me that was feeling like I was missing out, I was wasting time, I was just trying to catch up, and I was actively working, yet doing nothing. So COVID gave me an opportunity to catch my breath, because I'm just like, okay, yes, the Lord hears us, the Lord sees me, and if there is a chance that the Lord does exist, I might as well just explore it. Then the lockdown happened. When the lockdown happened, I knew that I had to stay with the Lord. I had to face the Lord and do it, what it is that I want to do in this period. So I remember that then that brother, I was always in communication with him. I was always chatting. I didn't even have a phone, or maybe I did have a phone, but I didn't have a phone. I was on WhatsApp then. I lost my phone, so I just had this small phone I could use on Facebook. So I would chat with him on Facebook. We'll talk. So there was one day I just told him that, you know what, I'm going offline for the next few months. I need to go and find myself. And I told him everything, and he bade me farewell. He bade me farewell, and I deactivated my Facebook account. And I remember that day I was in my room, and maybe not verbatim, I just said the prayer that, God, if you really do exist, if you really do hear people, if you really love me, I need you to come into my life. That day I said the salvation prayer, like, okay, let's assume that everything that I've been doing with you before now had been a waste, or is not valid, or maybe I never really accepted you, and I was just, going around roundabout. I want to start with you again, God. I said the salvation prayer, invited the Lord into my situation. I prayed and I cried. I bore out my heart to God. I was praying, I was praying, I was praying. Then those period, there's a Yoruba word that says, I put the Jesus. That's what I did. Like, I abandoned my life with the Lord. I'm like, I don't have any, at this point, there's nothing I'm going back to. I already deactivated my Facebook account. I don't want to ask friends. I don't have a phone. I don't have fame. I don't have influence. I don't have money. There was nothing to fall back to. So it was here that the Lord helped me, but the Lord helped me. Oh Lord, this feels like it's going to be very, very long, but I've never gotten today. This, I guess I'm going to have to do a part 2 of this. So